Hey everyone, Michael O'Brien here. I have a special treat for you guys. You asked me to invite Fred on the channel. I reached out to Fred and I said, "Hey Fred, would you like to come on the channel and have a little chat with me?" And Fred said,
I'm honored. What an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so the man that needs no introduction. You guys voted to have him on the channel, and I am so happy that he's here. I'm so happy that he agreed to do this because we're going to have a nice little chat with you guys today. We're going to get to know Fred a little bit for all of my viewers that don't know anything about him. So, Fred, would you do me a favor and just give me a little bit of information about you? What got you into magic? Where do you sit in magic right now? Like all of that good stuff.
Sure. Well, I'm Fred. A lot of people know me online as the Underperforming Hobbyist. That's my YouTube channel. And I started it back in January, I think, this year. And it kind of took off quite quickly. The underlying message is I have all these magic tricks. Is this what it means to be a hobbyist magician, a collector of secrets, a performer of none? And it resonated quite widely with the magic community. And it was my first video. It kind of took off a little bit. And yeah, ever since then, I've been creating more content online and holding myself accountable to perform a lot more, certainly buy a lot less magic and perform with what I've got, and encouraging others to perform magic as well. Encouraging the little tribe of underperforming hobbyists that we've sort of gathered to just get out of their comfort zones and just perform a little bit more. So that's kind of like my shtick.
Well, what got you into magic specifically? Like, what's your background? Like, are you the typical story where you like, you got a magic set one year for your birthday and it kind of evolved from there as a child, or did you discover it later in life?
Mm.
Like what got you into it?
Well, actually, a little bit of both, Michael. I, like most people, or many people, I discovered magic as a child. I got some remarkable effects from magic stores. You know, like the beginner kits. There's some really remarkable effects which I absolutely adored. I fooled the pants off my parents, and then for some bizarre reason, I fell out of love with magic for a few years. Maybe I discovered girls or whatever. I sort of just drifted off into adulthood. And then about 7 years ago, I had an accident. I suffered a spinal cord injury. I'm a full-time wheelchair user these days, and it left behind a lot of other extracurricular activities such as snowboarding and mountain biking, a lot of adrenaline-fueled sports. And since I have a much more sedentary lifestyle these days, I got back into magic. I saw a David Blaine magic course through a studio platform called Studio, and it was with David Blaine and Assy Wind, and they were essentially performing fairly simple card magic with double lifts and key card principles. And I kind of got into that, and then through that, I discovered magic on YouTube, and then marketed magic tricks that you can buy, which make you look incredible. It was kind of brought me back to how I first started, like full circle, buying pre-made magic tricks that almost self-working yet absolute miracles out of the box. And I started performing a little bit here and there, still very bashful, very shy, very much an underperforming hobbyist. And then, yes, I guess sort of the last year, I've been really sort of pushing out my comfort zone. My girlfriend's really encouraged me to be like, hey, do you want to show your magic to actually other people? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And it's been very, very well received. I've come to the acknowledgement that everybody loves magic. Everyone thinks that no one wants to see a magic trick, but everyone wants to see a magic trick. People love magic. As soon as you get the balls to actually put yourself out there, it's normally very, very well received. It's you get from wonder, astonishment, giggles, laughter, just joy, and that's again why I want to just spread the message of hey, let's perform magic. People bloody love it. It's bloody great. Really, really is a way of spreading wonder in the world. And instead of just sort of hoarding these little secrets, perform them because that's where the magic really comes alive in the reactions of the spectators. So yeah, that is my little, 60-second tour of magic.
No, that is excellent. It's actually funny that you bring that up. I think the video that first put you on my radar was your Alakazam convention review. I want to say I've seen your face around YouTube before. Like you said, you started relatively recently. You said like earlier this year, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know I've probably seen bits and pieces, but that was the first video that I sat and I listened to, and the message there was pretty much like we're literally surrounded by magic. There are loads of magicians all gathered into one little place, so many tricks to buy, so many things to see. and yet no one was performing magic. Maybe they were jamming with each other, but no one was performing anything. No one walked up to the receptionist at the desk and said, "Hi, would you like to see a magic trick?" I think you
Mm.
said in the video, you were the first person in the whole weekend, and I think it was like towards the end of your trip to show them
Hmm.
something. And
Yeah,
magicians had been there for 2 or 3 days already at that point. And
exactly that.
I think the interesting thing is, as magicians, especially I'll say hobbyist magicians, people that love magic, they love to purchase magic, they love to tinker, they love to learn the secrets and all of these things, have a hard time performing for people for a number of different reasons, whether it's because they're very shy and it's hard for them to kind of come out of that bubble, or maybe it's just a logistical problem like, who the heck am I supposed to perform for? I live in a
Hmm.
small town. I can't exactly just go and, start doing shows for people, and I need to practice. I need to get better. I've showed my significant other 1,000 times. They're over it.
Yeah.
Like, what's my outlet for that? And so one of the main things that I wanted to chat with you about, because I think that this, again, which watching that video and since consuming more of your content now, one thing I've noticed that you're very passionate about is taking ideas, things that you maybe let fall by the wayside or they're collecting dust in a drawer somewhere, opening those things, tinkering with them, and then going out and actually practicing those things in the real world. Because, like you said, people absolutely love it. People love
Mm.
watching magic. I have a student who he's very shy, very soft spoken guy. And I kind of lit the fire under him. I'm like, hey, why don't you show them something? And I kind of put him on the spot. I think at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time he wasn't too happy that I did that at the time. But afterwards he was like, dude, that was so much fun. And
Mm.
now it's easier for him to kind of like come out of his shell a little bit and do these things. So what kind of advice would you have for someone? I guess this is a multi-tiered question. We'll say number one, someone that has loads of magic that they're not really performing right now, either because it was too difficult for them or they didn't think that it fit their personality or their presentation style or what have you. And then once they've gotten to that point where like now they've worked out the magic that they want to perform, how can they actually go out into the real world and start performing that for people?
Mm. Well, it's a good question, and I really wish that I had a succinct answer where I could. It's magic pill. A little phrase that I could say that would just click with so many people. But I guess the issue is overcoming fear. In fact, I've got this book. In fact, I was gonna spoiler alert. I was gonna make a YouTube video about this, but it's called "Feel the
You
Fear and
guys
Do It
saw it
Anyway."
here first. That's
So
so
it's called
cool.
"Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway," and the book is it's a book I've read many times throughout my life for different things, and essentially the core message is anytime you ever feel fear, you have to. The fear only goes away after you do the thing. So if you wait for the fear to go away, you'll never actually do the thing that you're scared of. So that's the underlying message in that book, which is something that I've leaned on many times in my life throughout any types of struggles that I've had, and I've had quite a few. But when you if you're always going to be scared of going out and performing for strangers, it is quite terrifying. Even though essentially it's quite low stakes if you think about in times gone past, we've had to go to battle, to war, and all this stuff. And sometimes when I show a magic trick to someone, I have this physiological response of it feels like this huge adrenaline spike, as if the stakes are so high. Oh my God, if they don't like this magic trick, we're going to go to war, and I'm going to get slain. But it's not. It's very low stakes. It could be mild embarrassment. That essentially it. But as long as you're paralyzed by fear, you'll never get out there and do it. So if you're waiting for the fear to go away, you'll be waiting forever. You've got to actually feel the fear and do it anyway. And on the plus side, when you get that huge buzz, the other side of this, so you have this huge about a bunch of nerves. You go up, you might fumble it, it might go great, it might go well, but whatever happens, the other side of that is the reward, and I think it's directly proportional. So the amount of nerves that you feel before is directly proportional to the absolute buzz you get afterwards. Oh my God, I did it! That was amazing. So this happened to me in the supermarket recently. I don't know if you know, but I work in a supermarket. So a guy come up to me and he said, "Oh, you're the magic man, right?" I was like, "Oh, I am actually." And he said, "Yeah, show me a magic trick." And my heart rate spiked. I had a huge spike of adrenaline. And I showed him Crazy Man's handcuffs, and he loved it. He was there with his girlfriend, and it went brilliantly. It went as well as a magic trick could go. I did the second phase where it completely disappeared and reappeared on my wrist, and he was like, "Oh my God, no way!" And about 10 minutes later, my heart rate was still pounding as if, like, I had this huge buzz. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Anyway, a couple of days later, he comes back in. He's like, "Oh, hey man, you got a magic trick for me today?" And I was less nervous. It went really well, and I had less of a buzz. And I was like, "Oh wow, that's so interesting." I was so much less nervous, but I had so much less of a payoff afterwards. So my advice would be, if you're nervous to perform magic, if you go out and do it, you'll probably get a huge physiological reward from this huge buzz of adrenaline. And it's precious because the more you go and perform, you could probably relate to this. When you were first hobbyist, amateur magician, you probably got a huge buzz from performing magic. And the more you do it, the less nerves you get and the less reward you get. Sometimes if you try a new trick and it goes well, you probably, it's nice, but you don't get that insane buzz. So the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. So that would be my advice. And I just kind of came up with that on the spot. But yeah, I hope that kind
No,
of lands well.
that's amazing. I want to pause you for just a second before we go on to the next thing, or let you continue your point, because that is absolutely true. It's one of those things now where, like, I've started, like, let's just say I'm doing card magic, right? So, like, I got a deck of cards here. It was at first for me, let's just say I was gonna do like a color change or something, right? So is that your card? No, it's not that one. Well, here, let me go ahead and find it. I would watch the card change and then look up at the reactions. Now when I do this, because for me, like, making the card change, it's like, well, I've done that for the thousandth time today, right? It's not gonna get me too excited. I now, when I do this, I'm not even looking at the card. My eyes are watching all around everybody to see, like what are they looking at? Like, how are they watching the reactions in real time, and
Mm.
watching them get really excited is the thing that gets me really excited. It's not so much about, oh man, that magic trick went really well for me, because I've been doing this same card trick for like the last 10 years now. So I already know that it's my thousandth time, or I already know that it's going to get great reactions and all of that. So the things for me that bring me joy now are seeing my spectators react, and every reaction is different, so it keeps
Hmm.
it new and interesting for me. You have people that are just like, what?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and it doesn't seem like, you would think like, oh, what, maybe you didn't like it, and it's like, no, that person is so, like, trying to
Astonished.
process what just happened right now. They're so astonished. And so for me, that's one way that I really enjoy keeping the magic alive and everything. Also, to your point, you mentioned the kind of just do it, because the reward that you're going to get, that dopamine hit after you've done the thing, is going to be just as amazing as sort of like the fear, the anxiousness, the anxiety, the build up to it. It's like you take a pop bottle and you shake it, all that pressure is
Hmm.
built up, and then you release it and all the pressure is released. It's kind of that feeling. Um, I like to think of it like getting into the pool, you know? The water's cold. Maybe you dip your toe in and you're like, oh, it's
Yeah,
cold,
yeah.
like, and little by little, you might get, now, next thing you know, it's been an hour and you're sat at the edge of the pool and you're like, okay, I got my feet in. But it's taking you an hour to get to that point. Or just walk over to the diving board and dive into the pool. You'll be
Hmm.
cold. It'll be harsh for like the first few minutes, and then you'll acclimate to the water. And then the next thing you know, you're like, yeah, this is great. I love this. This is amazing. And now you're in the pool, right? So sometimes it's just a matter of just doing it, right?
Yeah,
Just going
yeah,
out
yeah.
there and just doing it, getting over your fear and practicing. Because the more you practice, and when I say practice, I don't just mean your tricks, but the more you practice approaching people, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, like you just said, the more that you do this, the more used to it you'll get. I don't really get nervous performing anymore unless I'm performing something I'm not comfortable with. If you give me
Hmm.
a new trick and you tell me to learn it and then go and perform it for someone, that anxiety is going to be building inside me because I'm not used to performing this thing. So, for those of you out there that are like, oh man, like, I've been doing magic for like 20 years and nothing excites me anymore, maybe it is time for you to bust out some new things that you haven't tried in a long time, and maybe refresh your set replace things that you've been doing for so long with new things, and maybe that might help bring some of that back. And then for those of you that are new and getting into it, do the things that you're most comfortable with, and just go out there and start doing it.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Which,
I
which leads
agree.
me to my next thing. How do you go out there and start doing it? Like, what's the next step? I got my act. Now what?
Yeah. Well, I think this is very similar to to the first question, really. I mean, it. There's no real. I think you know, fortune favors the brave, right? You have to be brave. You have to go out there and do it. Like I say, I'm not a professional. I don't know if I can speak with any authority. I'm just a guy who's kind of documenting his journey of being an underperforming hobbyist, holding himself accountable through his YouTube channel of going out and performing and saying, "Hey, listen, the more I'm performing, this is the journey. You know, 6 months ago I was hardly performing at all. A year ago I was performing even less, and now all of a sudden I'm putting myself out into these uncomfortable situations, and they're becoming more comfortable slowly, and I'm becoming more comfortable with my magic. And the real, I guess, baptism of fire is anytime you rehearse a trick on your own, you can make a mistake, but the real lesson, and the real way you learn is through performance. You know, like through especially like mentalism effects or any sort of anything that involves patter. You can. I like when you're trying to sell an effect, you really have to turn the pantomime up to 11. I've learned this new effect recently by DMC where it's instead of like a magic trick, it's more of a memory feat, but it's hugely pantomime. I'm not really memorizing the whole deck, but I've got to really sell the effect that I'm memorizing the entire deck for this impossible reveal later. And this is essentially the entire effect. The method is incredibly deceptively simple, but all I've got to do is just pretend for like about a minute that I'm memorizing the entire deck, so the audience believes that. And that is, I think, something that gets really overlooked is that a lot of magic is acting, and a lot of it's selling the effect, selling
Hmm.
like turning the pantomime up and like really selling the effect. You know, if you're memorizing the whole deck and you're just doing this, that's not really. But if you're like, okay, okay, and you know, it's really hard to just practice here. But when I'm in front of someone, I'm really selling it. And I did it
Yep.
recently to my girlfriend and then to my friend, and my friend was like, "No way, dude! How long did it take you to do that to like acquire that skill?" And then I start feeling guilty because I'm actually lying. I haven't actually memorized the deck. It's just an effect. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm like, oh well, you know. And then like, something I haven't been prepared for. This is what you get from performing is the questions you get afterwards. But that's such an amazing skill. Like, how long did it take you to do that? And I'm like, oh shit, I haven't been prepared for this question because I hadn't actually memorized the deck. So there's lots of. This is just a small example, but yeah, when you actually go out there and perform, you know, you have to remember like the word is perform, and when that comes with everything, it's not just something. I think a lot of magicians focus on clever methods and clever techniques, and they watch a lot of magic, and they can definitely spot like a dodgy double lift or spot like how a trick is done. But there is certainly when you go out and perform, you really such a difference between an entertaining magic trick and just a regular magic trick. You know what I mean? I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, I like if you give me the choice between an amazingly technical skilled, boring performer and a very basically performed magic effect that was very fun to watch and exciting, I'm going to go with the exciting and fun one over the super technical one, 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, as they say.
Mm,
So, and to your point too, and to bring David Blaine back up, I remember watching, and this is like I think maybe one of his first street magic specials in like the '90s or something. And he did the Balducci levitation. That's the one where you just like
mhm,
you levitate maybe this high off the ground. And I've seen magicians perform that, and it's always like, "Hey guys, watch my feet." Ooh, okay, I've levitated, and everyone's always like, "Oh well, it was cool." When David Blaine did it, he like got in the zone. He's like, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, but just like give me a minute, like, keep watching. And he does the levitation, and then he falls over on the floor sick, like he's gonna throw up. Like,
mm,
what's the word? Not retching. What is it like when you're like in the fetal position and you're just like,
mm.
ah. And he sold that for like a good few minutes after he did the levitation. And people were like, holy crap, like I don't even know what's happening here. And it was like some demonic possession thing or something.
Yeah,
Right. But
yeah.
it's obviously that's taking it to the extreme. But my point is that that little magic trick that most people know is kind of almost a throwaway gag nowadays that people do was taken extremely seriously and had that person questioning like what reality was in that exact moment. So the acting bit definitely. It's like when you do the mind reading trick, you know, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna read your mind now. You're
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah,
the
yeah,
ace of
yeah.
clubs, and it's like, all right, that was you got my card, but like, what was that? Like that did do versus the whole. I want you to just loop the cards in your mind. So ace, two, three, four. Just do that in your mind over and over again. Right there. I don't know if you noticed this, but subconsciously you hesitated a little bit when you got to a certain card. I'm thinking it was a six, wasn't it? Oh my God, you know, and
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it feels like in real time you're working out how they're doing this rather than just, oh, well, I forced the six of clubs on you. And when I did this, this didn't do anything. I already know what your card was.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, no, you're spot on when it comes to the whole acting bit. So, it might be beneficial for performers, whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, to take some kind of acting class, whether it be at your local trade school or if you like, you know, go on YouTube and just like watch your videos teaching you how to how to act more. I
Yeah.
love watching Peter Turner do his thing.
Yeah.
Because
He's
Peter
fantastic.
Turner, it's so conversational. He's like anytime I've watched Peter Turner perform live, it's never felt like he was performing. It felt like he was sat around the table with just like a group of friends and just having a chat, and then like crazy stuff's happening, and then all right, lads, like I'm off, and he just like that's it, you know. It's like what the hell just happened,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like I absolutely love that because he's so invested in his performance. To him, what he's doing is real. You
Mm.
know what I mean? He doesn't have to act; he lives it in a way,
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. But
exactly.
yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I feel like stepped right over something that you were about to say.
No problem
What was it?
whatsoever.
What was it that you were going to say?
No, no, it's just a conversation back and forth. But I was going to say that when you practice mentalism, one of the things that I find it's so much easier with a stranger because if you can come over to a stranger, you can be that elusive stranger. That guy just read my mind. You know, I would try to do it at my poker night, and they're like, dude, I just bluffed you off a hand 3 hands ago. Like you now you can read my mind. Like you know what I mean? Like or if you do it to family members, you know, like you know what I mean. If you could really read my mind, my girlfriend would be like, why do we argue so much? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you know like to do the washing up yesterday? Do you know what I mean?
Yep,
So I find it a lot
exactly.
easier to act and do the pantomime, especially when it's and actually generally to perform magic to strangers because when you're performing to strangers, you've got this sort of this invisible permission slip to be whoever you want. You can be this. You can lean into this mysterious stranger that might have mystical powers. It's very hard to pull it off in front of your friends.
Oh yeah, no, they know you. It's the same thing like if you know or have ever been roped into one of those multi-level marketing things, they want you to sell knives or something, you know, and you go to your family and friends as this knife expert that is highly trained in, you know, the cutlery and everything that you're trying to present them. They're gonna be like, dude, you just joined this company like 3 weeks ago. We know that you don't know anything about knives. Like, what
Yeah,
the hell are
yeah.
you on about, right? It's the same kind of thing in magic. And that leads me to another question now. I know that there are a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'm just so shy to perform because I just know that like I've showed like my family and my friends these tricks and they give me a hard time and it just never goes over well. Like they're picking apart my gimmick or they want to shuffle the cards or they're checking my pockets and all of these things." And I always say, look, there is a social bubble when you walk out the door where people just know that you everyone has their own personal space. When it comes to family members and close friends, there typically isn't a social bubble. Like right now, if one of my friends was over here and I wanted to walk up to him and just sit on his lap just to fuck with him, I could do that.
Hmm.
If I were to do that to some stranger out on the street, the chances are they're probably going to call the police because that's just
Yeah.
not something that you do, right? So there's a sort of social bubble that doesn't exist when you're performing for your family. That does exist when you're out in the real world. People are going to be more likely to kind of go along with what it is that you're doing when it's a stranger versus when it's a family member who's going to be heckling you and things like
Hmm.
that. Has that been experienced that you've noticed?
I've never heard it described like that, but it's very, very accurate. Yeah, there's obviously when you go out and you perform for strangers, there's a certain level of respect that they give you, right? Just off the bat, just a sort of social, what's the word? Yeah, social structure of just, hey, yeah, okay, especially if you come across if you say that you're a magician, they're like, oh wow, you're a magician. Yeah, and also you forget that everyone's rooting for you. Everyone wants the magic trick to go well, right? Every now and then you get some guy who kind of sees it as a puzzle to solve, like they're very
Yeah.
logically minded, and they're like, oh no, there must be something going on. Like obviously magic doesn't exist. But generally speaking, everyone's rooting for you, man. Like if you go out and show a magic trick, they want it to go well. They want that, if you like I've had the experience where a magic trick's gone wrong and they're like, "Oh, that's okay. Try again. Like show us another one." They're very, very welcoming, so and even
Mhm.
if the worst case scenario happens and you fail miserably, there's such a lesson in that, like why did I fail? Like what could I do better next time? And every time you
Exactly.
just your brain like looks for solutions like, oh, you know what? Next time I'll do that differently, or next time I'll, maybe the angle was wrong, or there's so many different ways that your brain is just like, okay, it will just work a solution, and you're like, okay, cool. Next time it will be better. But people are so scared of failing when there's so many lessons in failure, and failure really is just they're just steps to success, right? So,
That is true. It's one of those things too where I feel like if you're an approachable person and you're very kind and you're not coming at it from like an antagonistic, like, oh, I'm going to show you something how cool I am and you're not going to be able to figure it out and I'm smarter than you and blah, blah, blah. Like, as long as you're not coming off like that and you're just like genuinely like, hey, I'm a magician. I'm working on some new magic tricks. Would you guys like to see something fun? And they're going to be, well, yeah, of course I'd love to see something fun, right? Which brings me to the big question that a lot of people have where it's like, how do you meet people to perform for? Do you just go up to random strangers on the street? Do you approach people while they're shopping? Like I
mm,
have a friend. His whole shtick is he's the Walmart guy. He goes to Walmart and he just performs for people in the WalMarts.
amazing.
Right? That's his thing. Um, my whole thing when I was first getting into magic, and I'm very shy. I didn't like approaching people. That was very like I don't know. I
Mm,
just felt like I don't want to bother them. Probably they got
mhm,
things going on. They're in a hurry to get somewhere. So what I would do is I would sit on like a bench or somewhere in public where there's loads of traffic or places where other people are sitting around as well. And I'd just be like shuffling my cards, practicing, springing the cards and triple cuts and things like this. And I every once in a while I'd look up to see like who's watching me. And every once in a while you'd make eye contact with someone. And they're just like watching you, like, how did you do that? I'm like, oh, I'm a magician. Would you guys like to see? And now that was like my sort of way
mhm.
in to get them to like want to watch. That way they kind of seemed interested already rather than just like, excuse me, stop. Like, I want to show. And then they're like, no, we don't want whatever you're selling. We're not joining your
Mhm.
cult, whatever it is that you're trying to pitch me. I don't
Yeah.
want it. Right. So what would be some advice for you on like cold approaching people or like how would you like let's just say right now I already be like, all right, Fred, you're gonna leave your house today and you're gonna go perform for like 20 people. Like what would be your game plan? Like how would you make that happen?
Again, I would be lying if I was to speak from any sort of position of authority. I am an underperforming hobbyist, man. Like that's the name of my channel. I'm progressing, but if I'm certainly no expert at this at all. I wouldn't know where to start. But I can give you some examples of how I've introduced it. So, like for example, I work at the supermarket, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I have your card in the back of my phone, right? So, some people have said, I don't know if you've seen the little holders where they keep their cards in the back of the phone, and I've just said, hey, that's so funny that you keep your cards in the back of your phone. It's just because I keep your card in the back of my phone as well, and they're like, what do you mean? And they're a little bit confused at first, and I'm like, well, it's just weird because you keep your cards in the back of your phone, but I keep your card in the back of my phone, and then normally they're like, where's this going? And then I just go into I don't know if you know the trick, you're familiar with it, but I use DFB to force a card. And then, well, I'll go through it and then I say, okay, actually, for those of people who, I'm not going to assume that everyone knows how it's done. So what I'll
Yeah,
do is
yeah,
I'll
yeah. You
say,
can show us.
listen, I've got a number, sorry, I've got a list of cards between 1 and 52 in my notes app. So if you can think of any number between 1 and 52, what would it be? And they'll give me a number.
You
And I say,
want? Are
just
you able to do it now? Is it set up? Is it ready to go?
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it live. We'll do a little demo for it.
Okay, cool. So if you were to pick any number between 1 and 52, what would it be?
27.
Number 27.
Hmm.
Is there any particular reason why you picked number 27?
It's the first number that popped into my head.
Okay, cool. So look, you can see that's my phone there. I'm just gonna unlock it real quick. And look, I've got this there. I'm gonna scroll down to number 27. I don't know if you can see what card it is, but
Looks
don't say it
like
out loud.
the.
Don't
Okay,
say it
okay,
out
got it,
loud. Just think of it. Okay, I'm just
got
gonna
it.
scroll up and down. Just make sure there's no duplicates.
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna lock my phone. Okay, it's off. So
Yep.
now you're thinking of a card. Now, wouldn't that be crazy if like your card was in the back of my phone?
Hmm.
Okay, so and then I say, look, would that be impressive? Hold on. Say, look, that would really be impressive, right?
It would be
I mean,
really
that
impressive.
would have been really impressive. And they say, oh, and they're like, oh, you've
Yeah,
mugged me
yeah,
off. Fair enough. And I say,
yeah.
look closer.
Unless, of course, you're thinking of the Queen of Clubs. Look at that.
And
That's
normally
amazing. I love that.
this gets a phenomenal reaction because it's like a roller coaster. They're like, oh, um, no way, no way, no way, and they're like, oh, okay, it's okay,
Aw.
and
And
then
then,
and then they're like,
yeah.
you know what, that was actually pretty funny, man. In fact, that's actually even funnier than if it was the card. And I'll be like, no, take a closer look, and they're like, like normally I get that real sort of like YouTube
Yep.
thumbnail type face, and they love it anyway. So that's one of my favorite go-to tricks, and I absolutely love it. Um, so yeah, sorry, going back to it, that's how I would introduce the trick at the supermarket, or that's how I have introduced a trick in the supermarket really randomly, just by saying, or like sometimes someone will see that and they'll be like, "What's that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, well, that's your card," you know, and go into it that way. Um, but yeah, again, that's just one example. But also, the another really good example is I've got the T-shirt by Reed Ferry which says "Ask to see a magic trick" on the back. Now
Hmm.
this is such a life hack because it is an absolute magic magnet. So many people come up to me and say like, "Oh, show us a magic trick then," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, go on then." It works really well, remarkably well. There's a magic trick built
That's
into it.
really
I've
cool.
mentioned it many times on the channel. I'm a huge fan of it. When I went out recently to perform magic intentionally, I wore this t-shirt and it did 90% of the work for me. Yeah, people were coming up to me. I literally was stood or sat at one place for most of the night. Even when I went to the toilet, I was doing magic inside the toilet. Yeah, it was wild. So yeah, that would be my tips. The t-shirt, and again, I get cold approaching is something I'm not an expert at, but it's yeah, it takes
It's
there's
it's
different
difficult.
techniques. Yeah.
It is difficult. I am by no means a busker. I will never say that I'm a busker because I have too much respect for proper buskers to say that I am. But I've been busking, and for me, the hardest part wasn't the performance. It wasn't even the hat at the end. The hardest part was hooking people to get them to stay and want to watch you perform. That was always the hardest, because how do you stop people that are walking by on their way, they're walking to the next shop that they're looking to go to or whatever, wherever your pitch is set up, and be like, hey, stop your day for like 20 minutes so you can watch me do my magic show and then pay me for the inconvenience of me stopping you. You have to
Mm,
convince them that. Now, obviously, after they watch the show, and if you're good and they appreciate it, then they're going to know that it's worth it. But convincing them in the offset to do that, just a cold approach, is difficult.
very
I'm
difficult.
fortunate. I'm fortunate in the fact that I'm a professional magician. Not to say that being a professional means that it's easier for you, but for me, I can approach a group and be like, "Hi, my name is Michael. I'm the booked magician for the evening."
Mhm.
So it makes sense that this guy is approaching me to show me a magic trick because the venue or the client or the whoever booked this person to be here. So for me, it's easy to just walk up to a table at the restaurant. Hi, my name's Michael. I'm the house magician here at the restaurant. I'd love to show you a little bit of magic. Is that okay? Like they're going to be like, ah, sure, of course. Why not? You work here. Yeah, let's see it.
Mhm.
Versus imagine someone just like some guy just comes up to your table. Hi, my name is Michael. I'm a magician. Can I show you a trick? Do you work here? No, I was sat at the table across from you, and I just thought it would be fun to come show you a trick, and like that can be a little off-putting for people. So I know that you said that this is by no means like something that you're an expert in, but let's just do a little think about it here for a second. If you were in that position where you knew that you needed to cold approach somebody, how would you do that?
Well, so I immediately I thought of the video I made. I think it was like one of my third or fourth video when I said I sort of held myself accountable. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it, guys. I said, I called this channel the Underperforming Hobbyist, and I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to go to the hotel down the road, and I'm going to perform magic for someone. And then I think I filmed another little bit of the video saying, "Oh, just in full disclosure, I've been procrastinating for 45 minutes. I haven't even left the house yet." So just to sort of document, like, I said I was going to do it, but at the same time, I'm really nervous. I went there, and I remember thinking, right, there's a group of lads over there, and I went to the toilet. I was just like in the toilet, like, okay, right, I'm just gonna go up to them and just gonna say, "Hey lads, I'm a magician. I'd love to show you some magic." I just don't even break stride. Just go over there, psych myself up, and I just wheeled over and I said, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And they were all on their phones. I was like, "Are you guys all on your phones?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're on holiday. We're texting our girlfriends." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. Hey, listen, I'd love to show you a magic trick. I'm a magician. I've got some new material I'm working on. I'd love to show you some magic." And they were like, "Oh yeah, all right then." And they all stood up. They're sort of sat up a little bit. They put their phones away, and I was like, "Okay, great." And I was just about to go into it, and then a lady comes around the corner and she says, "Oh lads, your taxi's here." And I was like, "Oh," and they're like, "Oh, sorry mate, our taxi's here. We've got to go." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, never mind. See you guys." And then there was a lady sat just next like opposite them, and she was like, "Oh well, I guess you'll have to show me some magic instead." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And again, she'd end up lost her passport. She was in the hotel alone. She all her friends had gone home, and she was just and I entertained her for about 45 minutes. It wasn't all magic; it was just magic and conversation. But she
Yeah.
loved it. She was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." She was texting her friends on the group chat saying, "Oh, I've got a magician in front of me, and he's doing magic for me. Can you believe it? If I'd never
Oh.
lost my passport, I wouldn't have been here, and we wouldn't have had this strange encounter." And it was just this wonderful serendipitous moment of just this wonderful moment where she was just fully entertained, absolutely overjoyed, astonished. The magic was great, but not only that, we made a little connection because she was just so overjoyed to have someone to talk to. She was just in the bar on her own, with a book and a glass of wine, and she was like, "Oh my God, now I've got this guy who's doing." Astonishing magic, and he's also quite charming, and we're talking about all sorts of things, and yeah, it was lovely. So I had
Aw.
a really nice encounter. So I get again that is just one thing that came to mind was just brute force. I was just like I forced myself to approach these guys, and then ended up doing having a lovely encounter with this lady and performing magic and lighting up her evening.
Isn't that funny how it's almost an icebreaker to open the doors for just like a conversation or getting to know somebody? Um, Magic is charming, and I don't just mean in like using it to perform for like someone that you're interested in romantically or something, but just in general, like it's a charming thing because everyone knows what magic is, but most people haven't really seen it, at least not
Hmm.
live and in person. They've maybe seen it on TikTok or on America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent or like Penn and Teller on TV or something. They've seen it on social media, but they've not actually seen a magician in the flesh perform. You do this thing, and now the next thing you know, they want to know your life story. They're done watching magic. Now that's just they're just talking to you. They're like, dude, how did you get into this? Like, like what do you plan to do in the future with this? Like, have you traveled the world? Do you do this? Do you that? And they're asking you all these
Hmm.
questions about your life now, just because you showed them some magic and they were so impressed by that. So it really is, if you can get the nerves, if you could shake the nerves off and just do it, you're gonna notice that it's just gonna be a nice little confidence boost for you. It's going to be a nice little icebreaker to open up an actual conversation with people. And it's like you said, just the more you do it, the
Mm.
easier it's going to become. Next thing, I was always that guy at the parties, sat there, the stereotypical with the red cup, just sat there in the corner like, I hope someone comes and talks to me. Like I don't know how to interact with people. If I could go back in time and give the life experience that I have now to Michael 20 years ago, Michael 20 years ago would be the life of the party. He'd be hanging
Yeah.
out. Hey, what's your name, man? Michael, so good to see you. And like all this stuff. And just like I'd be doing that back then. I could not have done that. And the only reason is because I've been doing this for so long now I've thrown myself out there to the point where now I feel confident, doing it. I got one more little anecdote for you, and then we'll ask one more question. And we'll sort of wrap things up here. Um, a good friend of mine, don't know if you've heard of him or not. He lives here. Well, he lived in Southern California. He lives in Las Vegas now. But his name is David Bonfidini. He goes by the Magic Crasher on YouTube. Basically, his whole thing is he cold approaches people, does a magic trick for them, but like it kind of comes out of nowhere, sort of like a Carbonaro effect, sort of kind of
Right.
feel to
Yeah.
it, where you don't really realize that magic is happening until after the magic trick happened. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like, oh, excuse me, like I just need to get the sugar real quick. He passes by the person at the coffee bar there, grabs the thing, goes to put the creamer in, and he's like, oh, sorry, hold on, I need to someone's calling me. He reaches in to get his phone and he's like on his phone, but the coffee is just levitating there while he's pouring it, while he's pouring the creamer into the coffee. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Oh, God, it won't leave me alone. Anyway, thank you so much. And then just like leaves. And then people are like, wait, what the hell just happened? Like that's his whole thing. I've gone out filming with him before. And at first, when we would film, it would take me like you said, like 45 minutes to just go talk to somebody to want to show them something to get on video so that we can have something for either the YouTube channel or like if I have a product coming out and I need like live performance footage of it. It was just very difficult for me. Now, all right, who am I going to? I'm going to them. What am I going to tell them? I'm going to tell them this. All right, the camera's rolling. All right, let's go. And like that's it. Like because I've just
Yeah.
done it so much now. So the moral of that story, I guess, is just again, and I'm going to hammer this. The more that you do it, the easier that it becomes. So just do it. Fred gave you some practical advice on how to approach people, where you can look for people that you might be able to interact with. You can kind of gauge it from a distance. Oh, the group of guys sat down at the table over there. They're all on their phones. Let me go approach them because they don't look like they're doing too much. They're just kind of hanging out. They might be bored. The conversation might have hit a dead end. So now they're all in that awkward like. Yep.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you mentioned
Anyway.
yourself about being the person at the party sat in the corner, with the cup. If you spot someone like that, approach them. They're probably overjoyed to see some magic. They're like, "Oh, amazing! Someone's come and talked to me." So that's a good trick to
Exactly.
get in.
Exactly. So all right. So now I know what I want to do. I want to go and I want to perform for people and I want to like just get this going. And what tricks am I going to do?
Mm.
How do you decide what pieces of magic you want to practice, to purchase? If you have a bin full of things that you haven't touched in ages that you want to open and start taking like what's your thought process when it comes to putting your little act together that you're going to go out and you're going to perform for people?
I feel like all these questions. I feel like you're assuming that I'm some sort of confident performer.
I am not assuming anything. I am attacking this from a different angle because I know exactly how I would do it, but I'm thinking like how a professional that's been doing this for the last 20 some years would do it. I want to hear someone that might even be like, actually, I haven't really thought of that yet. I don't even know. And kind of work it out in real time to see, like, again, if I were to put you on the spot and I were to say, hey, Fred, you and I, we're going to go to the pub tonight. We're going to go hang out. We're going to have a couple drinks. And then you are going to go to a group of people and you're going to do a 10-minute little performance for them. How would you
Okay.
approach that?
Well, I do have like an EDC, I guess, which is essentially a wallet. I've got a Sharpie. All decent magicians have a Sharpie. Where's my wallet? There it is. So I've got a
Not a
wallet,
lot of
which,
people have those.
oh, well, yeah, yeah. So I have
Not
a
a lot of
wallet. So
magicians have it. Well, at least no money inside of it.
yeah, well, there's no money in this, but it looks legit. No one's ever questioned the fact that there's no money in it. But I have Rejoined Express. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this trick.
Mm-mm. Oh, is
Rejoined
that the
Express.
new? It just came out, right? Like
No,
recently?
no, 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 no. This is quite an old effect.
I don't know if I've seen that then.
Oh, would you like me to perform it for you?
If you're able, yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Well, it normally works better in
And I said, you need me to hold out my hand for like the full
no. So what happens? So
effect.
so the this is such a great effect because normally it seems impromptu if someone says, "Oh, show me a magic trick," or for example, if I was at the Alakazam Magic Convention, this was one I did a lot because I was like, "Oh, I just come over for the convention. If the, I would show you a magic trick, but I kind of I've got these things. I've got these couple of cards here, right? Look, so what I'll do is, do you know what? What's your name? And I'll say to them, you know, you say Michael, and I say, oh, my name's Fred. Like sometimes, I really like to. Magic for me is about connection, and I really like to sort of connect with people. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to remember me, right after I'm gone, right. So I'm going to write my name here. I hope you can see this,
Mm-hmm.
Fred, and then I'll hand you this one, and I want you to write your name here, and then you say Michael. Okay, so then I'll get them to cap the lid. And I say, look, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a little bit of symbolism here, right? So I'm going to rip these apart, right? So now look, Fred and Michael, we're together right now, okay? You and I, we've just crossed paths, okay? But after this Zoom call, we're going to be apart. In fact, we live miles apart, right? So what I want to do is and I said to you before that magic is about connection. So what I want to do is I want to kind of make a little bit of a connection. And Michael, do you like origami? Because look, if I give this like a little bit of a fold just like that, it kind of looks like they're stuck together. Like it like actually really does look like they're completely stuck together. And then you just give that out, and that's like an impossible souvenir, and it's completely stuck together.
That's cool. I like
And they're
that a
like,
lot. It's like
what?
a sort of out to lunch kind of thing, I'm guessing.
What? This is the reaction normally. Like, what? Really?
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
It's
It's a torn and
great.
restored with the signed card, and it's an impossible object because it's the two different ones kind of fused
And the
together
only way to is to actually rip it.
to tear them apart. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're not going to want to do that.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
I
So they
just
and I say, "Oh, keep that," and then you can keep that. They're like, oh, can I really? And I say, "Yeah." Remember, I said magic is about connection. Now you and I are connected, and you'll always remember me. You remember my name, Fred, and we have a connection now. And it's just such a beautiful trick. So and they absolutely love this. I performed this for my friend's girlfriend at the weekend, and she loved it. She could not get over it. She was like, "But I saw. Wait a second. I saw you." And but and she kept looking at her boyfriend like, "What the hell?" And he was like, "I have no idea. I have no idea." So yeah, it's a great trick. And
what's the
then
name of it again?
Rejoined Express.
Rejoined Express. Got it.
Yeah,
And
by
it's sorry, go ahead.
Jal Miranda.
Oh, it is okay. John Miranda. Yeah,
Yeah,
also the props look great. It's their actual like real
yeah, really
things. It's
good.
not like Chicken Nugget Express and Coffee House or something. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
it's a they're like real places, which is really cool.
No, it's a
Um,
great effect. And then the basically I've got a like a little mentalism routine in here. This is like the Razor wallet, so it has a little peak function. I've
mhm.
got B Wave in here, so I normally hand this out and say, look, this is a little confession. I just want you to keep hold of that. And then this is a little reveal for later. This is I'm always off by one. This is like at the end, at the end, at the end. I do
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
little drawing guess, and then what I do is I say, look, what I want you to do is I want you to try and just gauge the texture of your mind a little bit. I want you to draw something on there, a little something simple, not a cat or a plant or anything like that. Something a little bit unique to you. Let me sort of like feel the texture of your mind. When you're done, turn it over, write your name on the back, and then I say, I'm just going to pop that in there for safekeeping. And then I do a lot of misdirection. I go into a what's the word? Equivocate. I get them down to like four queens, and I do the B wave reveal, and then I go and say, oh, and then I get my little peak, and we go into like a little bit of a little mentalism routine, which ends with me guessing the number that they thought of, but I'm off by one, and the whatever they drawn. And then it's a beautiful like 10-minute mentalism set. It's so good. And then I was like, oh, because what I normally do is I lean into it. Is if they guess 67, I'm like 66. I was like, that was so close though, right? That was so good. And then literally I just I wheel away, and then they're like, what was this? What was this? And then they open it up, and it's like
Off by one.
the kicker. They're like, no way! Like, how did he know he was going to be off by one? So
That's so good. That's so
yeah.
good. I love that.
So
What
that's
was that
kind of
number,
like
Fred? What was that number that you said?
67. Hey, yeah, yeah, that was a
Brilliant stuff. I absolutely love it. Yeah, so you have your little EDC. Are these things that you've kind of added in bit by bit, or was this something where you just sat down one day and you're like, I'm going to put together a little 10-minute EDC kind of act?
Well, it's not my. In full disclosure, I have two decks of cards on me as well. Like I have a marked deck and an invisible deck. So they look exactly the same. They're in a plastic case, which keeps them safe. And normally I will pull whatever. There's obviously a deck of cards. There's loads. I introduce it with a what's the word? A propless, I guess, card divination. So it. I could run through the scripting with you if you want. It's a little lengthy, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to. I guess my question is, is this something that's evolved over time, where you're constantly adding and replacing things, or you're like, oh, I've done this, but it's not quite working. Maybe I add this bit in here, or is this something that you just one day just decided I'm just gonna bang out a set, and now these are the tricks that I've been doing in that set for X amount of time?
Exactly that, yeah. And I wouldn't. You call it a set? I guess it is a set, but as an underperforming
No, it's a
hobbyist, I'm just
set.
like,
It is.
yeah,
It's a routine. It's a string of different effects that are tied together in a coherent with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you even have the through line, which is that little folded card that's
mm.
been in their hands since the very start, and you're already on your way out, and they're like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa,
So I guess
what the hell? And then like you're not
yeah.
even there anymore, and they're still reacting to things that are happening. Yeah, it's very well thought out. I like it a lot.
So I guess you could call that one routine. And then I very rarely use the invisible deck as a trick itself. I usually use it as as an insurance policy. If ever,
Mhm.
I need it, I'm like, oh, it's so interesting because they look identical. I'll just like pop
Yep.
out. I'm like, oh, amazing. And then I'll be like, I'll tell you what, let's put these away. I'll be like, oh no, actually, we'll get them out again, and I'll bring out the other deck. So it's kind of like a deck switch because I have a little
Yeah.
bag hanging off the back of my wheelchair, so it's quite good. But I have a wonderful bit of scripting, which is a lovely sort of kind of like
Yeah. Let's
Pete Turner
let's do it.
inspired. So this is how I introduce the deck of cards. So normally, if I do like a bit of mentalism or something, I'll say, look, that was me reading your mind, but I'd love for you to be able to read my mind. Now, you seem like an intuitive person. It seems like you have a lot of intuition, but sometimes you don't trust yourself when it comes to making effective decisions. Does that sound something like that? And they'll be like, yeah, 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 it sounds like me. I say, okay, interestingly enough, right, I'm thinking of a card. I don't want you to think of a card right now. I just want you to keep your mind blank. I'm going to try and influence you ever so subtly to pick up on the card that I'm thinking of, okay? So right now, Michael, I just want you to think of the color, okay? And all I want you to do is just nod your head to let me know that you've thought of yeah, just let you know, yeah, okay. I I know that you're smiling, but I want you to trust your intuition because I'm pretty sure you're thinking of the wrong color. So just trust your intuition and go ahead and change your mind. And now you're thinking of the right color. You've changed your mind now. Just nod your head to let me know. Excellent. Okay, I think we're on the same page now. So now with this color, you have the choice of two suits. Now, again, whichever one feels right, whichever one you're drawn to, you just nod your head to let me know that you've done. Okay, excellent. Okay, we're on the same page. Now you've got the suit. Now I just want you to think of the value. Okay, so through ace through to king. Okay, whenever you feel like it, you just settle on any value that you want. Okay, and just let me know by nodding your head. Okay, so now you have a card in mind. Perfect. And then I'll reach in. I'll say, okay, brilliant. This might not work. Okay. I want you to manage your expectations. This doesn't work every time. But what I want you to do is I want you to find the card in the deck and then just place it in my hand. Okay. And no matter what card they think of, just say that you were thinking of this card. I'll say, now, interestingly enough, when you were first thinking of a card, you were thinking of a black card, weren't you? And then you get the first hit and they're like, oh, and hopefully you changed your mind to a red card and they're like, and so this is beautiful bit of scripting where they're like, "Oh my God, no way! He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it." And again, they're rooting for you. They want you to get it. And I'm like, okay, now out of hearts and diamonds, the card that I'm thinking of is a diamond. And they're like, "Oh my God, yeah, 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 yeah." Okay. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people pick very common numbers like threes or sevens. I wanted to pick something that was quite rare number that people not people normally don't go for. Okay. So the card I'm thinking of is the five of diamonds. Boom! Honestly, fireworks. I've had the girl at the Alakazam Magic Convention tremble from head to toe. She's like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" She was trembling. And obviously, the method is a marked deck, right? But like the scripting is beautiful. You just go into this whole again. It's the pantomime. It's the theater. You turn it up. You
Mhm.
really like pretend that you're in tune with them, and Oh my God, it is an incredible effect. And then all of a sudden you've got a deck of cards. You haven't just got a deck of cards out, but then all of a sudden the deck of cards are in play. And you're like, oh, well, seeing as we've got the deck of cards, you can go into 1,000 different tricks from here.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's oh man, that's so good. I love the bit of acting stuff too because it really feel someone that's analytical like me, like I was watching that because I didn't know where you were going with it at first. So I'm trying to like figure out like where's the echo coming from or whatever. And you're touching your heart and things like that. And it's like, oh, he's saying it's a heart. Like the card that I'm thinking of is, oh, then change your mind. Maybe you might change it to a black card now. So now you're thinking of a club or a spade. And so it's like someone that goes to reverse engineer that, they're not gonna be thinking, oh, he's using a marked deck of cards. They're gonna be thinking like, oh, like the psychology behind everything and how he's influenced you and all of these things. So it feels like it could be real in a
Mm.
way, real not in the sense that you're a mind reader, but real in the sense more that like you could say something along the lines of like, did I figure out which card you were thinking of, or did I subtly influence you to pick that card? And you can leave it open to them so that they're not even sure.
A lot of the times people say, how did you do that? And I say, I didn't do that. I said, you
You
did
did
that.
that.
I,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm honestly, and I always lean into this. I'm like, honestly, this hardly ever works. I'm sometimes as surprised as you, like when this works, but this tells me that you really do have a really strong intuition. So anytime that you struggle to make an effective decision in the future, just know that you can trust that intuition. And I really, again, this is so heavily influenced by Pete Turner. If you can tell, the scripting's like, it kind of leaves you with a little gift. You can trust that intuition. You've got that in you, and it's just this little beautiful, again, that first hit of like, oh, you changed your mind. It's so 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 clever. And again, I heard Pete just blurt this out on a podcast with David from Magic Orthodoxy, and I was like, oh my God!
Mhm.
And I wrote it down literally word for word. But I do remember going back and revisiting that podcast. I remember thinking, oh, actually, I've actually changed the scripting quite a lot, and I have really made that my own. But it was definitely heavily influenced by Peter Turner, and is a beautiful, beautiful bit of scripting.
Oh yeah, like we had a late one. It was a little group of us, maybe like 12, 13 of us. We were just going to all the different clubs in Blackpool. And it was like, oh, we went to this bar and we like drank them dry, and then we went to the next one, and it was just a good time. And in the middle of all of that, Pete's kind of just like jamming with different people, and he comes up and he does his rock paper scissors. Have you seen him do this?
No.
So this is incredible. But he does his rock paper scissors routine, and it's one of those things where I'm watching this, and again, it didn't feel like, okay, so we're gonna do a little magic trick now. You want to play a game of rock paper scissors? Like it didn't come off like that at
Mm.
all. It was very conversational. It was like, yeah, you ever done this and blah blah blah. And have you ever had that feeling in the back of your mind that just tells you, you should do this, like, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. Like, for example, I don't know, you know how to play rock, paper? I'll do a little example with you. We'll play rock, paper, scissors, just to kind of emphasize my point. And it felt very like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And basically, the way that it goes is he can win whenever he wants to or lose whenever he wants to, is the way that it goes. So you're playing a game with them. And if he wants to win, it's like one. And then, like, that's two. He hits you like with over and over. And I walked away from that being like, dude, that was brilliant. That was like
Mm.
so freaking cool. And I was so hesitant to want to know how that was done because it sat with me for a full year. And then I ended up getting to this point where I'm like, I want to add more mentalism into my act that's just completely propolis with
Mm.
nothing. So I ended up doing what's the one with the true or false tequila hustler. I ended up doing the tequila hustler, which is basically you have them decide if they're going to be like a liar or truth teller character, and then you have them do like a which hand is it in game, and you can tell them whether they were lying, telling the truth, and which hand the thing is in. So freaking cool because that's completely propolis. You can do it with a coin or a little ball or a ring, or they could technically imagine the object if they're not like too drunk because that's they have to be able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
track it, right? They could technically imagine the object. And then I was like, I want to add the rock paper scissors thing into my act. I guess I'll learn how it was done. And I was almost impressed by how, I don't want to say simple it is because it's not. It takes a lot of like mental focus, I guess is the best way to describe it. That's not a routine that is like, oh, you could just do it like without thinking. Like you're in it while you're performing it because you have to be able to react like very quickly. So I was like, ah, I'll learn it. And then I gave it a go and I was like, okay, this is like pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
I'm happy that I ended up learning it. It was a cool piece of magic. But my point being is that it doesn't ever feel like magic with him. It feels
Yeah,
just very raw and real, if that makes sense. He doesn't come off like a magician. He comes off
yeah,
like that guy that you know that just like every time he comes over, he has something interesting to say. That's Pete. You know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
So,
100%.
but yeah, beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
Fred,
he's a really cool dude, man. I'm really excited to meet him. I think he's going to be at the Magic Podcast Convention. So I'm really looking forward to meeting him
oh,
there. And yeah, he's a really cool dude.
he's a good guy anyway. He's very sweet. He's very when you first see like this kind of guy with the tattoos coming up to you, you think, oh man, like like I don't want to be in a dodgy part of town with this guy around. And then he starts talking, and you're just like, ah, this guy's a big teddy bear. He's just like the sweetest guy ever. Really giving, really willing to sit down in the trenches with people and just talk to you, put some information in your head, but also get to know you. So he'll remember conversations that you've had from the last time that you've chatted with him. He's just that kind of guy. So
Oh, nice.
it's gonna be amazing. I'm curious to know, are you going to be doing a little follow up video on your experience there as well?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I like creating content for the channel, following my magic journey. My second magic convention. Of course, I'll be documenting it there, but in my own way. Like a lot of people at the Blackpool Magic Convention, they just go around the dealer hall, and it's a lot of fast-paced stuff. Whereas I think I'm sort of more focused on my personal experience as an
Yeah.
underperforming hobbyist, as someone who doesn't go to very many conventions, and again, I can offer my sort of constructive feedback on certain things. Like, for example, a lot of magicians that were just performing to each other and jamming and not really going out of their comfort bubble. And that was something that I really encouraged at the Alakazam convention and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I can give my honest take on it. The one thing I always am on my channel is honest. I
Yeah.
don't ever want to like pander to any sort of, I don't know, any sort of narrative. I always want to be true to myself. So.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I unfortunately won't be able to make it out, but I'd love to see it. So when you do post that, I'll definitely give it a watch. Are you going to be doing Blackpool next year?
Or maybe, I think it's like a bit of a pilgrimage for so many people. One of the things that put me off was that it's such a huge, overwhelming event, and I don't know, it just looks like just mental. But at the same time, so many, I don't know. Yeah, yes, probably, yes. Why not?
It is overwhelming if you allow it to be. And I guess the what I'm trying to say is if you have in your mind that I'm going to do this lecture, that lecture, that lecture, I'm going to go to the dealer hall on this day, I'm going to do this on this day, and then I got to make sure to see this show, this show, this show, this show, and blah blah blah, and you're cramming all these things in, and then something happens where you missed this thing and now you're like, oh, my whole thing is thrown off, I gotta do it can be very overwhelming. There's also a lot of people there. It's literally the world's largest magic convention, like 5,000 magicians all crammed into the Winter Gardens all in one little place.
Mm,
So it can be overwhelming. My advice for not just you but anyone that feels like they might be overwhelmed by that is to do it in chunks. So if you go for the full, I don't know if they're doing 5 days again this year or not. They did 5 days last year. But if you go for the full thing, don't feel like you have to get up at, right when it opens, be there all day and then all night,
mm,
just all day. Matt, it's okay to go back to your hotel room, to back to your B&B, have a little nap, unwind, toss on the telly and just like watch trash TV or whatever,
mm.
just to kind of like decompress a little bit and then you can go back to it. There's no issues with doing that. So
That's good advice. Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I would recommend. Or the other option is if you feel like it might be overwhelming to just go for like a day or two. Just buy the day pass for the Saturday and just go do that
Well,
for the day
if I live in France, so if I was going to go over, it would be for the whole thing for
for the
sure.
full thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's why I kind of went to the smaller Magic convention first because it was much more intimate. And again, my favorite thing wasn't the lectures, wasn't the dealer hall. It was just meeting other magicians, like other underperforming hobbyists, like encouraging them to go out and perform. And we were going, performing for lay people, performing for the staff at the cinema. It was hosted in a big cinema, and that was my favorite bit, like making connections with people. Like I say, magic is a conduit for connection, whether it's with the people you're performing for or the other magicians. Like the magic community is so awesome. Like I have a magic group chat now on WhatsApp with Raina from The Other Shuffle, Kobe Wilson, Trevor from Limitless Project, and a guy called Sean Coleman, who I recently did a podcast with. And we're jamming all the time, like Kobe's like probably the most talented magician. So he's like showing us rubber band magic, and we're all like, oh, that looks so easy. And then we're like, all noodle fingers. So
Yep.
it's great. It's so cool. I love, like, there's something about the magic community that is so wholesome, and I love it. I think the magicians that magic attracts a certain type of person, and all of a sudden you get around people, they're like, oh my god, you like magic as much as me, and we're sort of allowed to talk about magic without our sort of wives and girlfriends sort of frowning upon it. And yeah, it's a really lovely place. So that was really, so I think if the thing that draws me to Blackpool more than anything is just meeting other magicians rather than the big acts. Like that's not really
Oh yeah.
the thing that draws me there. It's just like the
Yep.
sort of hive mind, it's like a bees just returning to the queen.
Yep. Well, there are loads of people that go. I mean, obviously, this is going to be more like locals, like not. I'm saying like probably people are not flying in from like around the world to do what I'm about to say. But there are loads of people that don't even go to the convention properly. They just go to Blackpool and they hang around the Ruskin, which is like the famous hotel where the after party basically is, where after the convention everyone goes, they drink, they jam. And there are people that just do that. They don't even go to the convention. They're like, yeah, I haven't watched any lectures. I haven't gone inside yeah, even gone into the Winter Gardens. I'm just here to hang out with friends that I haven't seen since last year and, jam
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever. So that's something else that someone does too. Now, like you said, if you're going to be making the trip out of it, it's going to be worth it to just do the whole thing and have the whole experience. And also, Fred, I'm going to hold you accountable and I'm going to say, don't dip your toe in and be nervous about it and just go for it and do it and give it a go. And if you need breaks in between, that's totally fine. Because I think that one of two things will happen. You'll either come out of it going like, you know what, I tried it, I gave it a go. It's not for me, but I can see why people like it. I can see why people hate it, blah, 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 blah. Or you might be like, that was bloody brilliant. I'm gonna go do that every single year. And that's been me since when did I first go? 2017. I've been to
Mhm.
Blackpool every year since then, and I've made so many friends. There are loads of friends that if I were to just walk in right now, I'll just sit down, and then a Guinness will come in front of my face. I'll be like, "Hey!" Someone I haven't
Yeah,
seen since
nice.
last year, and a big old hug, and we pick up our conversation like we just had it yesterday. So
Brilliant.
it's a great time. You're gonna love the convention that the Magic Podcast convention. That one's gonna be a lot of fun. I know Craig and Lloyd have been hyping that up for like the last like few months now.
Mm.
Wish I could be there. We have Magic Live happening in Las Vegas in like a week. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to go to that, and it's like a
Ah,
3 hour drive away from me. So just been busy. But Fred, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on
no, you're
and
welcome.
having this lovely chat. I don't even know how much time. It feels like it's been like 10 minutes, but it's probably been a couple hours at least that we've been chatting. Maybe not that long, but
That's fine,
um,
man. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. It's been an
it was
absolute
so much
pleasure.
fun. It was so much fun. And if you do decide to go to Blackpool, I promise I won't come and sit in your lap. How does that sound?
I probably will. I probably will go to Blackpool. Like I say, I can't make any promises right now, but I think it's I sort of one of the things that really was a bit of a shock. Like when I went to the Alakazam convention, I get recognized because of my YouTube channel. You see the numbers, but numbers are like well, they're faceless,
I've
right?
I've seen the numbers, and I'm gonna say from an outside perspective looking in, your engagement is extremely good, which means I would rather have a solid 200 followers that engage with all my content, ask questions, leave comments, they're liking my videos, they're watching them from start to end, than to have 100,000, followers and only the, 2% of those or whatever, or
Yeah.
even like engaging or whatever. You have really good engagement on your videos, which tells me people absolutely love what it is that you have to say. They care about your journey, and it's only a matter of time until your channel explodes and you're just like seeing like a lot more fun. So don't worry too much about your humble numbers
No, well,
because
like I
those
say,
numbers are speaking for themselves, I think.
I I never focus on the numbers. I think those sort of things are vanity metrics. I guess the point I was making was when you see, a couple of hundred people have seen your video or whatever, then it's just a number, right? But then when people come up to you at Magic conventions and they're like, "Oh my God, I love your content," and "Oh, I love your videos," and they sort of know they sort of like a little bit over familiar, and they're like, it's really I hadn't anticipated that people that behind every number is a person, right?
Yeah, you're a
It's kind
celebrity,
of
bro. People know who you
wow.
are.
I wouldn't use that term, but it's certainly um, very flattering. When you go somewhere and because of like me sat in my lounge just talking to you like this, you get some sort of recognition, and it's crazy. It's very cool. So yeah, I like that. It's nice, but yeah.
No, it's great, man. Like I said, I've adored the content that you put out since I've watched that first video when you did the Alakazam convention, and then my followers they voted to have you on. So I mean, they agree. They like your content. They like what you're talking about, and you can tell that it's genuinely from like your honest opinion or it's coming from the heart. It's not a carefully curated video designed to make people feel a certain way. It's very genuine. I think that shows through. So keep on doing what you're doing because people love it.
Thank you, sir. I will endeavor to do so.
Anyways, Fred, any last words before I let you go?
Just a huge thanks. Thanks to people who voted me on to be the first guest. That's very flattering. Thank you to you for hosting me, and thank you for everyone who's watching and who leaves lovely comments. I think that's like again, that's the true currency of YouTube. I think is the comments when people take
Yep.
time to leave a lovely comment at the end of a video. That is what really fills me up. Like the numbers, like I say, like they're mostly vanity metrics, but the comments, that's where the real juice is, and that's where I've created a magic community. Like I literally,
Exactly.
people from my comment section are now in my group chat on WhatsApp. They're actually real
Yep.
people that I'm jamming with virtually, and that I'm meeting up with at the convention. So those comments can actually turn into real connections through magic, which is the real magic. There we go.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. It's like these aren't just uh, comments that are coming from out of nowhere. It's these are real people, and when you get to know these real people, outside of that, you form deeper connections with people. And for me, it was Instagram actually that did that years ago, like 2014, 2013, something when Instagram was really popping off. Next thing I know, I have friends in Japan, Australia, United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, India, the Philippines, like friends from like literally everywhere
Mm,
in the world. And the thing that we have in common is that we love magic.
it's cool, eh?
How freaking cool is that?
Super cool, man. I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, it's just over a common love of magic, a hobby which is just yeah, it's just a hobby really. It's just for most of us just a hobby, but it really brings us all together and it's lovely. So yeah, the magic community is one of the best things about magic and certainly about being a content creator on YouTube. It's a very wholesome, lovely place, very supportive and lovely. So we all seem to support each other and yeah, it's a very positive space.
100%. Where can we find you, Fred? I'm going to link you up in the description anyway, but you want to tell us where we can find you if we want to.
So I don't do any sort of social media apart from YouTube. So it's the Underperforming Hobbyist. You can reach out to me at underperforminghobbyist@gmail.com if you want to send me a personal message or just drop a comment on one of my videos. I normally respond to all the comments. I try and make an effort to do that. But yeah, if you want to connect, then send me an email or just watch my videos. But like I said, I don't do any sort of short form content or anything like that. So it's just the long stuff on YouTube.
Perfect. All right, Fred. Again, thank you so much for coming on the channel, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, Michael O'Brien here. I just wanted to thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, want to see more videos just like it, please go ahead, click the subscribe button, click the like button, the share button, the button, and any other buttons of that nature. Don't forget to check out my website, o'brienmagic.com, for some really cool magic products. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.